Farmer Dean was used to seeing all kinds of animals on his farm. Living on the edge of a forest, wild creatures often wandered through his property. Sometimes, he would even leave a bucket of sheep food outside for deer to enjoy at night. But nothing could have prepared him for the strange creature that showed up one morning. It was unlike anything Dean had ever seen before. At first, he thought it was one of his goats that had escaped. But as he got closer, he realized something was off. The creature had swollen eyes that made it hard to see, and its body was strangely deformed, like a mix between a goat and something else, almost like a mutated rabbit. Terrified, Dean took a step back, but the creature didn't seem to mind his presence. It stood there, calm, staring back at him. Dean didn't know what to do, so he decided to call his old vet buddy, Carl, for help. Carl was a seasoned vet, and Dean hoped he would be able to shed some light on this bizarre situation. "You just have to see this," Dean said over the phone. "You won't regret it." Carl agreed to come over right away. Dean quickly moved the creature into an empty goat pen, offering it food and water. The creature seemed to settle in, wagging its tail like a dog. It was clearly not a normal goat, yet its strange appearance was unlike anything else Dean had ever seen. He took a few photos of the animal and posted them on a local farmer's forum, hoping someone might recognize it. The forum was usually a place to share information about farm-related issues, like dealing with predators or crop tips, but Dean was hoping for some insight into the mysterious creature. The post, which was meant to be a simple inquiry, quickly caught attention. It didn't take long before Dean's phone started ringing nonstop. Someone had screenshot the picture and posted it on Facebook, and soon it was going viral. Dean was overwhelmed. Before he could even think about deleting the post, he received a call from Carl. "Dean, is that the animal you wanted me to see?" Carl asked, sounding concerned. Dean froze. How had Carl seen the photo? The forum was supposed to be private. He rushed to delete the post, but it was already too late. The creature had become a sensation. Dean's phone buzzed with messages, and a local news channel even reached out, wanting to do a feature on the creature. Just as Dean was about to shut his laptop in frustration, a van pulled up in front of his house. He rushed outside, hoping it was Carl, but instead, he found a group of reporters waiting at the gate. Cameras flashed, and microphones were thrust toward him as the reporters bombarded him with questions. Dean tried to shield the creature, refusing to answer their inquiries, but the reporters grew more aggressive. He used his body as a barrier, blocking them from getting closer to the barn where the animal was kept. It was a tense moment. Dean was torn between protecting the creature's privacy and trying to keep his calm under the pressure. Dean's heart raced as the situation seemed to spiral out of control. He walked back toward the house, hoping Carl would arrive soon to help him navigate this chaos. Just when he thought things couldn't get worse, he heard Carl's voice through the noise. "I'm here, Dean," Carl said, offering a sense of relief. Dean quickly opened the gate, and together, they rushed inside, shutting the door behind them. While the reporters continued to shout questions from the outside, Dean and Carl took a moment to breathe, sharing a laugh. Despite the absurdity of it all, they knew there was still work to be done. With the situation under control for the moment, Dean led Carl to the goat pen, where the creature was being kept. He tried to shield the animal from the prying eyes of the reporters outside, but the tension between them was palpable. What would Carl think of the creature? What exactly were they dealing with here? Dean's nerves were on edge as they reached the pen. Carl, ever the professional, approached the animal carefully. His calm demeanor reassured Dean as he examined it closely. There was a quiet moment between the two men as Carl studied the creature. Dean's stomach tightened with anticipation. What was Carl going to say? After a few moments, Carl looked up, his face unreadable. "This is something else," Carl said, his voice low. Dean braced himself for bad news, but Carl's expression didn't shift. After a brief discussion, Carl suggested they transport the creature to the clinic for further testing. Dean agreed without hesitation. They quickly devised a plan to move the creature discreetly to avoid attracting more media attention. The urgency in the air was palpable as they worked to prepare for the journey. Using a makeshift stretcher, they carefully moved the creature into a vehicle, taking great care to cover it up and ensure its privacy. They traveled on back roads, avoiding the main highways where reporters might be waiting. Dean's eyes constantly scanned the roads for signs of any intrusions. He was determined to keep the creature safe, but the weight of the situation was beginning to wear on him. Once at the clinic, Carl immediately began his tests while Dean stayed close to the animal, offering reassurance. The air in the clinic was thick with anticipation as they waited for results. The quiet hum of the clinic was interrupted by a knock on the door. More reporters had arrived, having caught wind of the growing story. Carl, unflappable as always, stepped outside to calmly assert the clinic's privacy policies. The reporters were turned away, but the intrusion only strengthened Dean's resolve. He knew they had to stay focused if they were going to get through this. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Carl returned with the results. The creature was a deformed goat, but there was something else. It was pregnant. Against all odds, the animal was expecting. Dean's initial shock gave way to a deep concern for the animal's well-being. He immediately began thinking about how to modify the farm to accommodate the pregnant goat and prepare for the birth. Determined to make sure the goat was comfortable and safe, Dean worked tirelessly to set up a proper space in the barn. With Carl's help, they made sure the environment was as stress-free as possible for the pregnant goat. Dean's commitment to the animal was evident as he gathered supplies and prepared for what was to come. As the time for the birth drew closer, Dean became even more hands-on. Carl offered advice, guiding him through the process. The birth was difficult, but with Carl's assistance, Dean was able to support the goat through the labor. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the goat gave birth to healthy offspring. The birth was a miracle, a testament to the resilience of the animal, and it filled Dean with an overwhelming sense of pride and joy. The news of the birth spread quickly, and the community rallied around Dean's farm, offering support, supplies, and kind words. What had started as a viral curiosity turned into a story of compassion and care. The community came together to support the animal, and Dean's bond with the creature grew even stronger. As schools began to visit the farm and local media covered the story, conversations about animal welfare sparked across the region. Dean's commitment, backed by the support of Carl and the community, became an example of how empathy and care could transform lives. The farm became a symbol of unity, and the collective effort to care for the animals left a lasting impact on everyone involved.